So Bitcoin is testing that all-important monthly level of 25k. Is it going to hold? Is it going to break? That's what we're going to explore in this video and take a look at what that could mean for certain altcoins. We'll also go through all the usual stuff we do on a Monday, which is what to expect from the traditional markets this week. So before we get into it, if you do enjoy our content, please do like and subscribe. Really do appreciate it, and it does help us out massively. We're trying to grow the channel, trying to get some good educational content out there, as opposed to the usual pump and dump shilling stuff that you see all over YouTube. But enough of that, let's get on with today's content. So let's get into the news first. So not too much happening today. As you can see, the main one is the US CPI coming out on Wednesday. Now, whether CPI is still as impactful as it has been over the past year to 18 months, we'll find out. Obviously, it's under much better control now than what it was. Not so much in the UK. UK is still pretty high, but certainly in the US it is under wraps a little bit more. So unless we see some sort of wild spike in CPI, I'm not sure whether it's going to have the same effect. But of course, it will be taken into consideration by the Fed when they start to deliberate whether they're going to pause or whether they're going to put in another hike, interest rate hike this year. The expectation is 1 to 2 more hikes this year. Of course, we're in September now, so there's only another 3. I think, is there 4 meetings of FOMC? So we'll have to see what happens. But people are betting on a pause, which would obviously be bullish for the market if, of course, the interest rates have peaked, and then we'll just wait for that cut in interest rates. But for now, caution, definitely the name of the game. And as I say at the beginning of the video, BTC now at this all-important level of 25k. So we're on the monthly time frame here. If you've been following this channel for a while, you've probably got this image burned into your brain. I've gone through it a number of times, but just in case you're new or just to refresh your memory, of course, we had 29.3k as a monthly resistance, as you can see here. We broke over the top of it in June, tried to hold it as support in July, and then we broke through it, basically causing a deviation, which is quite a bearish look. And now we're at this 25.2k, which was the peak back here in August of last year, ironically, and now we're trying to hold it. We have tested it as support twice before, as you can see, in June of this year and last month in August, where it managed to hold. But as I say, is it going to hold this second time round? If we go to the weekly time frame, again, it's a very important level of support on the weekly time frame. As you can see, again, tested it those 2 times that I mentioned before, in June and in August, and we've been hovering just above it a couple of times all throughout August as well. Today is the first time we've sort of pierced that 25.2k level. So what does it mean if we do break this level on a weekly time frame? We do have some sort of support here at 24.2. You can see it was the top of this wick back here in January, end of January of this year, and then it was the candle close tops of February as well. So potential level of support, but personally I think it really does open the door down to 21.5k, which, if we quickly switch back to the monthly, is the next level of monthly higher time frame support. And as you can see, this level was also tested a few times before we went up, broke above it in January, tested as support both on February and March. Now, another potential scenario, rather bullish scenario, is maybe we get a large wick down and then zip back up like we did with the 21.5k level back in March. If we just quickly go to the weekly on that one, so you can see the market was trending upwards, came down, tested it as support in February, bounced up, hit resistance at the current level, 25.2k, wicked all the way down to 19.5k, and then in the same day basically zipped back up, and then the following days went all the way back up to 28k. So might we see that on this level here? A big wick to shake people out, scare people into selling, trap some sellers, and then zip back up, get above 25.2k, and away we go potentially. Where might we bounce if that were to happen? Well, if we go to the daily time frame, we've got a little bit of structure back down here at about 23.6 as a potential level there. I'm not sure, that might be about halfway between these two levels, so you could sort of argue it's a mid-range area potentially, or we may, as I say, go all the way down to that 25.5 21.5k level. As I've mentioned before, this level of 25.2 is a very strong daily level as well as a weekly and a monthly. As you can see, we've not really had any daily closes below 25.2. We had a very, very slight close here, which you can kind of discount on the 14th of June, as it then went straight back above it on the 15th, sort of tweezer bottoms there, if you like your chart patterns. So will we see something similar, or are we going to get a definitive break below and then a move lower? We'll soon find out. If we do zoom in on the daily, we talked about this move on the Friday morning, that this move late on Thursday night, I believe, as I discussed in Friday's video, was people jumping onto the S&P quote-unquote rally, which was actually just a change in the contracts, and then by Friday morning, that was all sold into, and it just continues this narrative of good news or good price action just being sold into, which has been the case ever since back in July when we topped out at 31.7k. So every time we get a move up, we just get slammed back down and then continue lower. So is that going to continue? We'll have to find out. Moving on to Ethereum, it's not looking any prettier. Keep talking about this. We've completed this deviation of the 1721 monthly level, so we could be looking at returning to the yearly open down at about $1,200. Supporting this is the weekly time frame. If we take a look at that, again, there's not much structure here. I talked about this ever since we lost that 1721 level, that there's no real weekly level down until 1370, which was the start of this wick here, which was that 6th of March, where BTC wicked down below 19k. Down to 19.5k before zipping back up. So again, that's a level of interest for sure, and it's not that far away now. If we just take a quick look at that, it's only about 11-12% away, so definitely not too far-fetched. Might be a good area for a long once we get down there. On the daily, I talked about this level 1635 being a key level, as we hadn't had a daily close below it since middle of March. We got a close below it, was it on Friday the 1st of September, a little bit of chop, a little bit of volatility with the spot ETH ETF news, and then finally we started dropping over the weekend, and today we're looking at closing below 1583, which is another key level, because as you can see, it marked the bottom, or it didn't get a close below it when we wicked down on Thursday the 17th of August, and it bounced right off it on Tuesday the 22nd of August as well. So daily close below this, and to be honest, I don't really see any structure here on the daily time frame that is going to support or be there to support a move down for a potential bounce until we get down to 1370. So it looks like a big void from here down to 1370. So a potential trade, if we get a daily close around this area, is a bearish retest of 1583 and then down to 1370. So ETH definitely looking the uglier of the two, and that is reflected in ETH BTC. If we take a look at the weekly, we were looking like going to get a potential breakout of this bearish trend line last week, but as you can see, big wick and broken down. We're now looking like we're going to close below that weekly range low. If we get a weekly close below these wicks at about 0.06, then I think it's almost a foregone conclusion we're going to get that monthly range low of 0.05, which I've repeatedly said would be a great area to pick up ETH and alts against BTC, and I think that could be a really nice area. If we quickly flick to the monthly, you can see that is monthly range lows, where we bottomed out in June of last year, and of course that was when ETH bottomed in USD as well. Quickly to the Bitcoin dominance, which is just basically the opposite of ETH BTC. As you can see, holding this previous monthly range high as support until we get a monthly close below 48%, then it's certainly Bitcoin season, and this is support until proven otherwise. Quickly go to the dollars. This is in an important spot. So it's been ripping for the past 6 or 7 weeks. We're now at this key level here at 105. So it's been resistance ever since it was broken as support back in November of last year, and as you can see, many tests of resistance. If this holds as resistance and we top out here on the dollar, then that is good for risk on assets like the S&P and BTC. However, if the dollar does break above and hold this flip 105 as support, then that is bad news for risk on assets, as you know, the dollar is going to surge and things like Bitcoin and the S&P are very likely to drop against it. Quickly going to the S&P, if we just take a look at the daily, we're in this clear daily range at the moment. We're testing the daily range highs where we've topped out back on the 8th of August and also the 31st of August and 1st of September. So testing this again after bouncing off the daily mid-range on Thursday and Friday. So a rejection here, maybe we fall back down to the daily range lows of 4371, break above this, and we're going to be testing those yearly highs again, up at around the 4,600s. So eyes on that, although BTC hasn't really been following the S&P very closely for a while now. So I suppose a good S&P is somewhat good for BTC. However, I think a dumpy S&P is going to cause real issues for BTC. We'll quickly go through the altcoins on the higher time frames to see where things could potentially go if BTC does lose support, and of course ETH. So ADA, I'm just going to stick to the higher time frames here. ADA doesn't really have any support until you get down to about 17 to 15 cents. This price action down here. So this weekly range low at about 23, 24 cents, very important. AVAX on a monthly time frame, as you can see, it is breaking below this monthly range low, which isn't very good. If we go to the weekly, it's got this final line in the sand, this final chance of support here, which is at $9.30, which is this wick from the 19th of July 2021. Lose that and it's basically nothing until $4.50, so it's almost a 50% drop. BNB is the same on the weekly time frame. We've talked about this a number of times. 205, a very important weekly level. Below that, there is almost no high time. Well, there's just no high time frame structure at all until you get down to about $45, which is madness. Matic. Again, not too bad for Matic. Matic still has 45 cents as a weekly level of support at start of this uptrend back in July of last year. So not too far to go for Matic as a potential bounce area. DOT is looking very dangerous, but also very good buy area if you do like DOT, as we are pretty much back to the lows of 2020. So if we quickly go to the monthly time frame, breaking below this monthly range low of $4.18, hasn't really got much else to go unless it's going to start making new lows. As you can see, I mean, the lowest wick from 2020 was $3.55, and we're currently at $4, so not very far to go. And you can see the lowest candle close on a weekly time frame was actually $4.11, so we're below the lowest candle close of 2020, which is crazy. So yeah, these wicks sort of bottom out around $3.80ish, and as I say, the very lowest one down at about $3.50. So as I say, very good time to be thinking about dollar cost averaging or buying a small bag to get yourself started. If you do like the project, of course, not financial advice, do your own research on that. But yeah, potentially new all-time lows for DOT if BTC makes a dive for the low 20s. Near, we are looking at the next weekly level being down at 94 cents, which isn't that much of a drop from where we are currently, but it's the start of this trend, this weekly uptrend on the 14th of December 2020. So again, not too much for a drop down to 94 cents, but if it breaks that, then you are looking at maybe potentially 53 cents. So yeah, scary times. VeChain, quickly go to the monthly time frame. You can see it's breaking below this monthly range low at 0.015. On the weekly, it does have this level of support here, which has been tested a number of times and held up so far at 0.014. As you can see, this level originates back in the 21st September 2020, and it was the bottom here on the 5th, 12th, and 19th of June of this year, and also on the 14th of August as well. So maybe it's been tested one too many times, and a break of this, and as I say, it's a long way down to your next support, probably around here about 0.0, so about a cent or maybe below. And then finally ZIL, the cleanest level of support and resistance you'll see. It's completely textbook, as you can see, very clean level, but breaking below it currently. So the level is about 0.015, trading below at the moment at 0.014 ish. If we go to a weekly, not much in terms of support. As you can see, you've got these wicks down here at about 0.013, but really, apart from that, you're probably looking at somewhere down at 0.007. So a long way down for ZIL if this level doesn't hold. So as I say, all eyes on BTC and this 25k or 25.2k monthly level. If that gets lost or there's a big wick below that, then a lot of alts are in trouble. However, that being said, we are certainly much closer to the bottom than we are the top on a lot of alts. So definitely not a bad place to start dollar cost averaging or add a little bit more, but certainly don't be looking at going all in. We could be looking at further drops, but yeah, just play what you see, as I always say. Buy strong levels of support. Don't go all in. Always have some dry powder for big crashes. But I think we are definitely closer to a bottom than we are the top. So yeah, maybe start looking at deploying that capital. But hope you enjoyed the video today. We'll be back on Friday to review the week and see what happened. So have a good week, and I'll catch you then.